Hi everybody, how's it going, eh? It's Todd, the Cheap Drums Guy, coming to you from Fort Living Room on this beautiful Labor Day weekend. And I think winter's finally here because it's not the usual mid-70s by this time in the morning. It's still like in the mid-60s. So I think our hot weather is done for the season. I wanted to talk to you about something, and I'd say that I want to do a short video, but you know me, I'm kind of long-winded, so my short videos aren't. But let's talk about drums. Let's talk about my new acquisition. This is drum set, acoustic drum set number 3. I finally got what I wanted. Premier drums. I have loved, since I was interested in drums, for some reason, I've always been interested in Premiers, English-made Premiers. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the badge is very distinctive on them, and I've always wanted a set. Well, I knew I was going to have 3 sets when I got into this, just for the fact I could rotate them out. When I get tired of one sound, I can move on to another and have a different sound, because I get kind of bored with things fast. And I didn't want to do so with drums because it's not a cheap hobby. So I've had my eye on this kit for some time. It was sitting used in a Guitar Center in Ocean, New Jersey. I won't hold that against them, but that's where it was sitting. And my wife just says to go ahead and get it. So I ordered it, and they came about a week ago. And a shout out to them at that store that there was so much packing material. These were wrapped up so well that it completely filled my recycle bin outside. And that's without the boxes. That's just all the wrap. And I'll tell you one thing, they cornered the market on bubble wrap, because my granddaughter was popping that for a long time. But it's a great kit. It's I believe 2000s era. The badge says Premier England. It doesn't say since 1922, so it's an English-made kit, not a Taiwanese-made one. It's in the wrap on it, which is strange for an XPK, is a silver gray finish. There's very little marks on it, except the hoop. The batter hoop had a little bit of the rash from the kick pedal not having the pad. So anybody out there, when you attach your kick pedal to your batter hoop, use a pad to protect the hoops. You know, save me a little bit of extra work. But I do have a pad on there now, but I'll probably have to refinish it still anyways. But other than that, the drums are in excellent condition. The chrome is absolutely beautiful, because Premier was always known for their wonderful chrome work, and this kit's no exception. Again, I thought it was kind of strange that this had a wrap. Lower end Premier kits, such as their Olympics, had wraps. Their newer Taiwanese made powerhouse kits had wraps. The APK, which was the beginning of their intermediate kits, came with a wrap finish. But the XPK, which was a step ahead of the APKs, usually had a lacquer finish. And this one, being an XPK, also having a wrap, was kind of curious, but that's all well. I mean, it looks great. It's still in wonderful shape, and it's going to last me the rest of my life, I'm sure. Then there are other kits above the XPK, which were the Signia, Signia, and the Sigma, or no, Cabria, excuse me. After the XPK, then there was the Cabrias, which are nice because they have the tom suspension mounts on. And then there was the Sigmas, and then the Janistas. The Sigmas and the Janistas had some of the most beautiful finishes on any drums I've ever seen in my life. But of course, that's a little bit out of my hobby price range. So, but I'm totally content with this XPK kit. It's from the 2000s, like I said. It came with a 22 by 18 inch bass drum, a 12 by 8, 13 by 9 rack tom, and a 16 by 16 floor tom. The heads on it were Remo Ambassadors, or Remo Emperors, excuse me, the 12 did have an ambassador on it, and it sounded like a timbale. It sounded horrible. I knew prior to getting these that Premier are a lot louder than your average drums off the block. And that being said, I didn't think Remo Emperors were a good fit for it because they are very resonant, a lot of tone, and they do project quite a bit. So my number one kit originally came with Remo Emperors, and it sounded good with that. So I decided to swap and put, since these were new Emperors, I put those on my number one kit, and I took its Evans Red hydraulics and put them on this one because I thought it'd be a better fit sound-wise. And I was right, it is. Down the road, I'll probably put these back on number one kit and order some new Evans hydraulics, but I'll do it in the blue because that'll really go well with the silver gray finish. But it's asking her for more money, so that's still down the road. But, and it was, I mean, these heads, I think Premier drums seem to work best with Evans heads, hydraulic heads. But they're still a little wild. I do have a moon gel on each of the drums, and like in one of my videos I discussed about using cotton balls to help cut down on some of the excess of resonance and tone out of some of these drums. And in each of these rack toms, I have 5 or 6 cotton balls in each, and the 16-inch, this one, I tell you, is like a, oh my gosh, I almost thought this was a Premier resonator kit because it was so loud, but it doesn't have the wood lining on the inside. But this one I've got 8 cotton balls in it, and it's still not enough, even with the moon gel, just to tone it down a little bit. So again, I don't have everything running into a drum program and can change the sounds because I'm just down here by myself using my own ears. But I'll give you a rundown on the sounds in a minute. I've got the drum set up in a 1-up, 2-down configuration. I did take the tom arm and I mounted it to the bass drum. It's down here, my 13s, and it's attached to a cymbal stand which is holding up the 13. It is a beefy, it is probably one of the biggest tom arms I've ever seen. It looks more like a medieval weapon. It's beautiful finish, beautiful chrome on it, and it sat up there nicely, but the toms were much too high for my liking. I really did not like it up there. And so I mounted that onto the cymbal stand, and that Gibraltar basic clamp just barely holds it. It is that beefy. But it's good for now. And I was hoping to use, I have a extra cymbal boom arm that I usually mount in the bass drum to hold up my ride cymbal. I have it right here. However, the down tube hole is just too big for it. I mean, it's pretty good size. Well, it's no biggie, so I can't use my other, I have to put the ride back on the cymbal stand instead of using that, so I had to take off one of my splashes. But I have it set up this way just because it's so much more comfortable to play, and the toms are right where you can get at them real easily. But I will get a clamp, an L-rod clamp, just to hold this specifically, just because this looks kind of, it looks a little too much. And that way, when I do that, I can take that, the tom arm, and mount it back on the bass drum, and I'll move the tom, or the L-rods down, and in the back of the tom arm, there is a space to mount a cymbal boom arm, like that one, and then I can mount my ride back there again. The bass drum came with a Remo Ambassador coated, and to keep everything together, because I am OCD, along when I took the Remo heads off and put them on kit number 1, I also took that Ambassador off the back of the bass drum and mounted on that one, because the kit number 1 kit actually came with a Premier batter head, which I thought was odd. You know, I thought it was great, but I just thought it was odd also. So I moved that Premier head, of course, to the Premier drums, because that's the way it should be. But anyways, so that's on there now, and the kits are complete. So I'll give you a quick rundown of what the bass drum sounds like. Now I did, don't tell her I did this, but I did put one of my wife's brand new pillows inside the bass drum. It's got the original Premier bass drum head with the big Premier logo, and it's got the big hole, which was common on Premier drums, I think, for the most part, which was odd also, but it made it easy to get the pillow in there. But this is what it sounds like with the pillow in there. So again, this is a 22 by 18. It's got a nice sound to it. Without that pillow, it is, I mean, it is quite thumping. Now, I'll give you a quick run with the toms, and I'm using a stick with a cymbal felt on it. This is the 12-inch with Evan red hydraulic. There are 5 cotton balls on the inside and 1 moon gel. Oops, we turn snare wires off first. This is the 13 with the same setup pretty much. Now the 16. This is the wild girl here. Still, I still have a little bit of work to do to it. This one has 8 cotton balls on the inside of it and a moon gel. Again, it needs a little bit more. But with these heads, like I said, Evans hydraulic seems to work better with this kit just because it's so noisy, and it they don't affect the snares as much. Now, the snare I'm using, XPKs, the APKs came with a matching snare, and for some reason, when the companies get them an extra used set of drums, they seem to separate the snare from the rest of the drums and sell them separately. An XPK would have came with a steel snare, however, this is not the one that came with the kit. One didn't, but the APK drums have a matching wooden snare, but the XPKs came with a steel snare. The snare I'm using with this kit is a Premier Olympic model, 1006, I believe it is. I believe it's a late 70s or 1980s era. It's in excellent condition. When I took it apart and cleaned it, when I initially got it, I could not find any issues with it. The previous owner took off the original throw-off and mounted a Ludwig P85. It's a good throw-off. It's simple, but it uses those little holes on the bottom of it, and you have to use the cord for your snare wires. You know, you get my age. I'm 54, and when I have to throw on reading glasses just to be able to thread the frickin', it kind of pisses me off. But these are the original wires that came with it. It's a 20-strand set. I didn't see any brand name on these, so they're probably generic wires. But down the road, I'll probably switch these out with pure sound equalizers like I have on my other snares. Because then again, it'll also help with the resonance, because that's what those wires are designed to do. But this is a fabulous snare drum. I also got this used at a Guitar Center. I've seen a lot of side-by-side comparisons with stainless steel Olympic or Premier drum snare drums, and Olympic snare drums like the 1006 here. They put they side-by-side comparison with Ludwig Superphonics, which is a fantastic snare drum. And the Premiers seem to sound just as good, or if not better in some cases, than the Superphonic, which I thought was odd, but it was also, I thought was at the same time pretty cool. And it goes to show you the quality of British-made drums, and it's a shame Premier is no longer producing them. But of course, I had to use this, even though it is an Olympic and not an XPK snare. I still had to use it with it, and it's using an Evans UV1 head. And I should switch out those wires as soon as possible. It'll just help out. This is a very, very loud, as a lot of steel drums are, very loud drum. So I'm also going to get a piece of foam and not glue it in, but just set it in there, just to help tone it down a little bit. give it a little bit warmer sound. And I'm not going to play these drums right now because the camera, microphone leaves something to be desired. It's a cheap camera. What do you expect? It's not my cameras aren't my hobby. So, and I can't seem to use my iPhone. I can't seem to download my video from the iPhone to the computer and to get into YouTube or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy, so you get what you get. But this is a completely beautiful kit. I just absolutely love it. Another one of the nice features on this one, being an English-made Premier kit, is that they have dual badges. So no matter how you mount these drums, the badges are always right there in your face. And they are kind of big. I wouldn't say gaudy, but they're just in your face. That big red Premier. And they're just beautiful. And every time I come down here, even like I go to work in the morning, I get ready to go out the door, and I come in here, turn the light on, just to look at this kit, because I think it's just that beautiful. And I could not be happier with the set of drums. Somewhere down the road, if I do sell kit 1 and 2, I'll probably replace them with a Premier kit as well. There's a couple I have my eyes on. There's an Olympic sitting in Southfield, Michigan, and another XPK, which is dark purple with clear wood hoops, that's sitting in Indianapolis. It's an older kit. It looks like it hasn't been taken care of that well, but I can work on it and work with it. But down the road, if I do replace my other kits, which I probably won't anyways, I'd like to replace them with more Premier kits, because these are just absolutely beautiful. The chrome is on it, it's great. The wrap is great, it's in great shape. It's got a beautiful, beautiful sound, beautiful tone, and I don't think I could be happier with the set of drums. I mean, you give me a brand new Thomas Starr Classic and I'll just, whatever. I love these, they're beautiful. I just wanted to do a little video on it and showing my new acquisition, which I think is probably the most beautiful set of drums I've ever seen. And it was funny, the other day, I went back on Guitar Center, looked in their used area, and looked up Premier drums again, and right after I bought this one, another beautiful set showed up in Wisconsin. I'm not exactly sure the brand. It was either a Cabria, it might have been a Cabria, because it was all silver, and it had the Tom suspension mounts that attached to the tension rods. But all 3 of the Toms had it. And Premier was one of the strange companies, the only companies I usually ever saw do this, is that on their floor toms, whether it be a 14 or a 16 or even 18, a lot of them didn't have the legs. A lot of them were mounted like on a tom mount to a cymbal stand or to a tom stand, specific tom stand. And that's what this had. I think it was a 14-inch floor tom, but it had to use a stand or a cymbal stand to be mounted. But that was a good price. That was $299. I got this kit for $249, and when I initially got it, there was an old sticker on the bass drum still that was marked $449. So I got $200 off what they were originally asking for, which fine by me. Down the road, again, I have to get a proper mount for the 13 to mount it on to a cymbal stand, and so I can take that up there and mount the boom arm to it. And then I'll probably get the blue heads for it, Blue Evans hydraulics. But other than that, I really don't, as far as expense-wise in drums, I'm pretty much done. I've got everything I wanted except those 2 little items. But I just want to do a quick little video and show you my new baby. And that's about it for me, really. You guys have a great Labor Day weekend. Be safe. Don't do anything stupid. Do not drink and drive. But I'm Todd, the cheap drums guy, Northern Michigan. Fall's coming. These are changing. Stay warm, everybody. Bye.